What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room. I am your host, Mistress Carrie, and welcome to episode 139 of Cocktails in the War Room. It does not seem possible, but that's what it is. If you are new to Cocktails in the War Room, if this is your first time, welcome. And let us know in the comments that this is your first time so that we can all welcome you properly. This all started back on March 14th of 2020 at the start of kind of all the craziness and the lockdown. And now everybody that joins me every week here in the War Room calls themselves the War Room family. And if this is your first episode, you're a part of the family now too. So welcome. Thank you for hanging out with me every Tuesday night at 8:30. Especially if this is your first time. Hold on, I'm going to move the camera here. Especially if this is your first time, you got to let me know where you're watching from too, because now all of a sudden people are joining us from all over the country, which is really, really cool. So let us know. What's going on, everybody? Hello, Laura from Athol. Hey, Christine. What's going on? Will, Eric, Joe's in here. Christy's here. Shannon, Elsa, Devin, Donna, Joe. Lots of people checking in on the comments. I got to apologize, guys. I am so discombobulated today. Just coming back from the long holiday weekend. I told you guys that my husband was able to kind of surprise me with a visit for a couple days over the long holiday weekend. And I'm just kind of all over the place. He is deployed overseas, so he's used to a different time zone. So we were trying to function on his time zone and not mine. So trying to sleep during the day and be up all night just did not... I'm not a morning person anyway, but now my sleep is kind of all screwed up. And then having the short week and having it be Tuesday already and trying to get this week's podcast episode done. Eric's checking in from South Carolina. What's going on, Eric? Christine says Hurricane Elsa is here now. Christine, you want to stay safe. First episode from Brockton, says Jamie. Hell yeah. Kevin says he's hanging out in Malden. Mark says that lightning was a bitch on the way home. Michael says, what's going on, folks? Welcome. If you guys are new to the War Room, you may not know what to expect. So let me just give you the highlights of it. This originally started as a place for us to kind of get together every night. We did 80 shows in a row every single night before it switched to being a weekly show. And it was a way for us to kind of ride out the storm, literally, of what was going on with COVID. Once the podcast launched and we turned the War Room into a weekly show, it's now become a way to kind of get together, to talk about what's going on in the world, to talk about music. I give you guys details about the podcast, charity events that are coming up. I mean, we just kind of talk a little bit about everything. If you're new, open up another browser window on your computer and go to mistresscarrie.com and go to the blog. Scroll all the way down. One of the first posts is called the Dictionary. And that's kind of the War Room glossary of inside jokes and terms that we may use. Shorthand you're going to see in a lot of the comments. And that is going to get you kind of caught up with some of the inside jokes, because I definitely don't want you to feel like you are being left out of any of the jokes. Also, Cocktails in the War Room is sponsored by Latini Creative Solutions, who have done everything to help me since I started this whole new career. Logos, merchandise. They have helped me rebrand all of my social media, helped me build my website, helped me build all of the different things that you can purchase at mistresscarrie.com. So if you need any kind of help for your business or anything like that, go to latinicreative.com and they can help you just as much as they helped me. Jason, don't worry about being late. You know how we are. I was like a minute and a half late too. Everybody's used to it by now. Don't go for the Cheez-It. So one of the things you'll see in the dictionary is what a copper mug means, because the show is called Cocktails in the War Room. So we kind of have that the decompression cocktail at the end of the day. And usually if I'm drinking out of a copper mug, that means that I am enjoying a Moscow Mule. Now, I received this giant tumbler in the mail call. Hello, my name is Mistress Carrie, and you went for the Cheez-It, prepare to die. I am going to add something to the dictionary that when you see me drinking out of the Cheez-It tumbler, with my reusable purple straw, that it's spiked coffee. So like I told you guys, I was tired, discombobulated. My schedule's been all screwed up and I needed extra kick. So I literally have been sipping iced coffee out of this thing all day. And now that we're here in the war room, yeah, Vito, exactly. He hooked me up. I threw a little in there. Got a little Bailey's in the coffee. Perfect. So something a little new. A little spiked iced coffee for the war room tonight. 8:30, 8:35, same thing, says Keith, exactly. Penalty shot for being tardy. Cheez-It's, nice. There's inside jokes about the Cheez-It. You can find that out in the dictionary as well. Oh my God, the Cheez-It tumbler, says Kathy. This is when my day normally would start, but it's my night off. Well, there you go, Jonathan. So that's good. Walter, get the dictionary. Finally had that Scorpion Bowl on Friday. Jared, did you not love the Scorpion Bowl? We talked about Scorpion Bowls a couple weeks ago here in the War Room, and it was surprising to me how many people had never had one. I was questioning whether or not Scorpion Bowls were kind of a regional thing, but if you have never been to like a hibachi place or a Chinese restaurant that serves like really good like signature cocktails and you've never had the Scorpion Bowl with the big long straws and the volcano of 151, like mwah, it was delicious, right? Yes, David, it's working out fantastic for me. Yeah, a little Irish coffee, but Irish iced coffee, actually. Spiked coffee, otherwise known as Irish breakfast. Yeah, at 20 minutes of 9 at night. Carrie, you need to try honey bourbon cream. That sounds delicious. Blueberry cobbler, bag of dick. Just keep throwing them out. I mean, it's, yeah, chopsticks. There's plenty of places that you can go and have a delicious Scorpion Bowl. They usually come with really long straws and you share them, which is not COVID compliant by any stretch of the imagination. So if you're going to go sharing Scorpion Bowls, first of all, you have to get permission from the people you're sharing with. I have been out with people that have built really long straws and tried to drink the drinks at like the next table. Don't do that, especially post-COVID. You just don't know what you're getting into. Did you drink the center? Oh, yeah. Did you drink the center? Love the Scorpion Bowl, says Veronica. We'll be getting ready for work around 9:30, says Thomas. Jonathan wants to know if the hubby's still in the U.S. He is, but he's not here anymore. Unfortunately, I got him for 50 hours, 50 whole hours all by myself. And he's already gone again. So where's the ducking stingray? The ducking stingray's right here, actually. Wednesday. Hold on. I got to turn the pug cam on. For anybody new to the War Room, the pug cam is that right there. And the pug cam is for Wednesday, who you can find on Instagram at Wednesday the Goth Pug. And these are all her toys, or some of the toys that you guys have spoiled her with. Come here, Wednesday. Come say hi to everybody. Come here. Do you want to have a cookie? Say hi to everyone. Can I have your paw? Thank you. Can I have the other one? Thank you. Do you want to have a cookie? There you go. So there she is. There's Wednesday, my co-host. She has been by my side for almost every episode of the show. There are times where she bails on me. There are times where she gets a little stage fright. But mostly she comes in during every episode and wants to hang out a little bit. Come here. Give me the face. And hangs out with us for a bit and makes pug noises and plays with all of her crazy toys. So sit down. Sit. Good girl. There she is. And she's got her own Instagram. So she's also the world's most spoiled pug because you guys send her. This is just a small sampling of the toys that you guys spoil her with, and she appreciates it. Are you going to hang out with me? You're like posing. You're just sitting here on the pug cam. What a good girl you are. You're being a good girl today. I will tell you guys that, hey, that's not for you. This is mine. Sit down. You have to back up so everybody can see you and see it. Sit. Good girl. Oh, you already got down. Good girl. Okay. Sit. Sit. Back up. Back up. No, sit. Back up. No, Sit. Sit. Okay, paw. Other paw. No, up. High five. Yeah, good girl. She went raspberry picking with Daddy. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes we talk about gardening on the show too, because I love to garden. And my raspberries are coming in like crazy right now. And Wednesday knocked over a giant bowl of raspberries. Sit down. Sit. Good girl, paw. No, sit. Sit. Good girl. Down, down. She's crawling on her belly, trying to avoid the tripwire right now. Here you go. And she spilled this giant bowl of raspberries all over the grass. And sometimes she likes to eat them and sometimes she doesn't. And for some reason, she didn't want to eat them the other day. Can you come and see me? No, you don't want to come and see me? Okay, sit. High five. Other side. Yeah, good girl. Good girl. Showing off all of your tricks. Okay. All right, sit down and be cute now. Sit. Good girl. So we went raspberry picking and she spilled the raspberry. That's my iced coffee. Get away from the Cheez-It. Don't go for the Cheez-It Wednesday. Spilled raspberries all over the yard. Now she's clawing at me. Why are you clawing at me? Do you want to come here? Come here. Give me your harness. Come here. Okay. Say hi to everyone that hasn't heard your pug noises before. Don't lick the microphone. Why do I have a feeling that's going to end up in the dictionary too? Don't lick the microphone. Although some people, I think, like it when their microphone gets licked. There she goes. She likes to show her butthole on the show too. So if you're new to the war room, I apologize if you have to look at Wednesday's butthole every now and again. It's what she does. I don't know why she thinks it's so beautiful, but she does. So I apologize. Hey, get off the table. Get over here. Come on. Come here. Hold on. We got the creepy spider here tonight. We got the ducking stingray tonight. We got monkeys. What do you got? This is the crinkliest toy ever. Oh, you have to share the scorpion bowl. Noted. You don't have to share it. I'm just saying that it's kind of big. So if you want to order more than one of them, you may want to share it with somebody or at least get a ride home. Let's see. Don't lick the Cheez-It. I made the hubby drink one that was made for two, and he had it with the drink in the center. Yeah, exactly. Does it taste like a swing set? Oh my God. That's a quote from the Sully Erna episode of the podcast. If you haven't heard that episode yet, Sully got a little weird. We recorded the podcast episode while he was driving from Boston to Florida. So we got full masshole driving experience on that episode of the podcast. So the hubby is already gone, but it was great to have him here. It was great to have some time over the weekend. I don't know about you guys, but obviously the weather has been so crazy. There have been tons of storms coming through. I lost power for like 9 hours last week and, had to thank God she's going after the stingray right now. See her? This way. Where'd you go? Come over here. What are you doing? Come over here. Well, let me put the pug cam back on now. There you go. So I was on the backup generator and stuff and working on the radio show and the podcast with the backup system on, but it's been tested and it works. So that's a good thing. Let's see. The microphone tastes like a swing set. Oh God. What's up, Diva? How are you? What's the parking like at Rascals? You know what, Michael? I have no idea. You may want to call them. That's one of the things we got to talk about tonight is, the big DJ welcome party for the Pike that's coming up this Saturday. So Wednesday, can I go on with the show or do you want to just play with the stingray? What are you doing right now? See, this is how Wednesday is. She takes over the show either because I want her in here and she doesn't come in here, or when she's here and I need to move on with the show and she doesn't let me because she's being ridiculously cute and playing with all of her toys. What are you doing? Give me that. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that stingray. Rah. Literally, this is what I did throughout the entire pandemic. Every day. Pretty much every hour. let's see. Were there fireworks when you two crazy kids saw each other? David wants to know. Yeah, I mean, it's when you're used to being apart, and the times at the airport are always awesome. Anybody with a Mistress Carrie backstage pass knows my husband, because he had to travel so far to get here. I said, is there anything I can bring you? And he said, I want beer and pizza. So I met him at Logan. I want to say what's up to the state troopers that were out there laughing at me because I was standing at my car with a thing of beer and a pizza from Regina. And you know what? I wanted to talk about this because I thought this was really cool. And I'm really sorry that I don't remember his name. Maybe he's joining us in the War Room tonight. So I'm at the gate. Well, I'm at the terminal, right? I pull up at Logan with my car and he said, look, I'm going to go to baggage claim. Just meet me outside, have the car there, and I'll come out with my luggage because he had a bunch of bags. So I'm sitting out there by myself with the pizza and the beer, with the hazards on, pulled over like everyone does when they go to pick somebody up at the airport. And this guy pulls up behind me and he was waiting for his wife and kids to come home from a hockey tournament. And he's like, I couldn't go because I had to work. So I'm here to pick my wife up. And we're just making small talk. And he goes, are you Mistress Carrie? And I said, yeah. And he said, oh, I listened to you on the radio. You said that your husband is in the military. Is he overseas? I said, actually, I'm here to pick him up. He's on his way home for a couple days. Sorry, Wednesday dropped the stingray. And I'm here to pick him up. So he was like, it's nice to meet you, whatever. And so my husband came out with some of his bags and the carousel was going really slow. So he ran some bags out and went back inside. And so this guy came back over and he's like, I just realized I'm at the wrong terminal and my wife's waiting at a different terminal. Wednesday, where are you going? All right, she's gone. So I just wanted to say bye and I'm glad your husband made it home safe. And he handed me $20 and I was like, why are you giving me money? And he was like, I want to buy your husband a drink when you take him out. And I was like, I can't take your money seriously. Like, it's really a sweet thing. And he's like, no, I insist. He's like, I never served in the military and I can't imagine what it's like, to have them away all of the time. So I just, when you guys go out, will you just buy him a drink for me? And I just thought it was the sweetest thing. And I wanted to tell you guys the story just because, it's this small gesture that, it being the weekend of 4th of July, I haven't seen my husband in a couple months. And then all of a sudden, the stranger just gives you $20 and says, take him out and get him a drink and say, thank you for me. And then he got in his car and he left. He may come to the DJ welcome party actually, because, I told him, I said, hey, why don't you come? And, I just thought it was really sweet. And, so I wanted to tell you guys that story because it meant a lot. And I wish I could remember his name and I'm really sorry that I didn't. Did you pick Regina over Santarpio's? Will, so normally when I pick him up, I bring Santarpio's, but I decided to get Regina because I was, in the cell phone lot and, realized that his flight was delayed. And so I opted to go over to the North End and pick up there's a piece of lint flying around and pick up some Regina pizza, but I love both. So, oh my God, she's coming back. She brought another toy. Are you bringing that over here Wednesday? So I just wanted to tell you guys that really sweet story. So, sometimes things can seem really sad, overwhelming. The news can seem like a lot. And then someone does something just really sweet and selfless. And, Eric says small gestures are amazing. Yeah. It's like $20 it doesn't matter who you are. $20 is $20, and you hand it to a stranger and you tell them, take your husband out for a drink on me and tell him I said, thank you. Yeah, it was just really sweet. Travis checking in said, I'm sitting here crocheting a blanket for Linda. Urato's Alzheimer's fundraising recovery from quadricep tendon surgery. Glad to be here tonight. Travis, what's going on? I love the fact that the Rough Tough Cream Puff, Travis, who's the host of Oscar Mike Radio, crochets. The big, giant Marine veteran crochets. I think it's amazing. And it's supposed to be really good for you. I am not a knitter or a crocheter. I don't have that kind of patience. I applaud those who do. It would drive me absolutely bananas. To answer questions that came up earlier, I do have a generator. Yes, the zombie prepping comes in handy, but especially now with technology and stuff, it's like between the podcast and all the interviews and everything else that I'm doing in the war room, I want to make sure that if I lose power, I can still function. So, the generator, everything worked great. So, is the hubby in the room watching you talk? Wendy, he's already gone. He landed late Friday night and I brought him to the airport first thing Monday morning. So unfortunately, I've already said my goodbyes again, which just always sucks. So if you go to my Facebook page, I had to go to Logan really, really early yesterday and bring my husband back to the airport. And leaving the airport, I always dread that ride home, because it's like I drive to the airport with him and we're talking about when we're going to see each other next and things that he may need me to do or, just husband-wife stuff. And then you go to leave the airport and he's not with you. And I was really bummed out. And the weather was finally kind of cooperating for a bit yesterday. So really early in the morning, of course, it was a holiday as well, or at least the observance of the holiday. I didn't feel like coming home right away. So I decided to just drive to the North End. My mom loves pastry from Mike's Pastry. So I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just swing in there and pick up some stuff. And yesterday morning, because of the holiday and whatever, the North End was dead early in the morning. And so I found a place to park on Hanover Street and I walked around the North End for 45 minutes by myself, went by Paul Revere's house, went over to the Old North Church. If you've never been to the North End in Boston, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I can't take for granted that people in the war room know what I'm talking about anymore because people are joining us from all over. The North End is like Little Italy in New York. It's the Italian section of Boston. And the Old North Church is where they hung where the lantern, Paul Revere, that whole thing. And behind it is this beautiful memorial. And it's just got these wooden posts with these chains hanging between and thousands of dog tags. And it's a memorial that got put up after 9/11. And there's a set of dog tags hanging there for every casualty from Iraq and Afghanistan since 9/11. And so when there's a breeze, you hear these chimes and you don't understand what it is. And then when you see, it's literally inside the gate on the back side of the Old North Church. If you've never seen it, there's pictures of it up on my Facebook page. It's a small memorial, but it's really beautiful. And I walked around the North End for 45 minutes by myself, just taking pictures and really taking in how beautiful the walk was and how beautiful the city was. I stood in the middle of Hanover Street, which normally is just double parked and people everywhere. There was nobody on the road, and just took pictures in the middle of the road of Hanover Street and what some of the alleys looked like. And just to kind of remind myself how lucky I am to be so close to something so beautiful. And the walk really kind of cleared my head. I went and got a loaf of bread at Bova's and got my mom the lobster tails that she loves at Mike's Pastry. And that hour was so good to clear my head because I was really bummed out. I hate saying goodbye to my husband. And it was just really nice to kind of clear my head and walk around the city a little bit and remind myself how fortunate I am to have the access to a place like that I do. And it changed the rest of my day yesterday. And when I put those pictures up on Facebook, they're up on my Instagram as well, if you want to check them out. There were a lot of people that commented about how walks like that are just really good for your own mental health. And I got to tell you, it really was. It changed the trajectory of my whole day yesterday. So what's up, Keith? He says, hey, fuckers. Let's see. Mark says not one human in any of those pictures that you posted. It's very surprising. Mark, I got to tell you, it was a little bit eerie. There were people around. A lot of the restaurants and the bakeries and the cafes and stuff were getting deliveries, and the coffee shops were all open. Mike's Pastry was open. Bova's was open, obviously, because they're open 24 hours, which, by the way, if you are ever in the city late night, Bova's Bakery is open 24 hours. They're not paying me for this. That's like my go-to. Like 2:00 in the morning, I have the munchies, and they have a late night menu with like calzones and rice balls, and you can get pastry. But I bought a hot loaf of bread first thing in the morning. And growing up in the family with bakers, and my family having an Italian bakery for generations, like that early morning fresh bread smell, it smells like my childhood. And so some of the things were open, but a lot of the places were closed, and it was really quiet. I took this one video of one of like the side streets in the North End, and it was just birds chirping and church bells, and there was no one around, and it was crazy how quiet it was, but it was really, really beautiful. Laura says the Freedom Trail is beautiful. Clearing out the head gives people a breath of fresh air. I got to tell you, the world is not going to ever slow down to give us the opportunity to kind of catch up. And so one of the things I've definitely done since the war room started, since COVID started, is trying to find ways to embrace quiet. And anybody that knows me is laughing right now, especially if my husband's watching, because I'm never quiet ever. But one of the things that I've definitely tried to do, rebuilding my life since WAF went off the air, is finding ways to relax and de-stress. And I've started reading more. And I definitely have been trying to spend more time outside, away from gadgets, screens, gizmos, being out in the garden more, walking more. That walk around the North End yesterday is a perfect example. Julie says Bova's is the best. Reset, refocused, readjust, Heinz. Exactly. Oh my God, Carrie, you are making me miss the mass hole. Sorry, Heidi. We miss you though. Let's see. Salmeria Italiana, fantastic shop on Richmond at Hanover. Okay. Let's see. Out of work early, getting to listen for Live for a Change. Raise a glass. Jason, spiked iced coffee tonight. Cheers to you. Post Office Square at night is surreal. Then walk to the waterfront is a great evening walk. Yeah, I gotta tell you, for all of the shit we gave everybody about the Big Dig and how over budget and how much longer it took, and it may not have alleviated all of Boston's traffic problems, but one of the benefits that we did get out of it is that the city is so much more walkable, and it really is a beautiful place to walk around. And for the most part, no matter the time of day or night, you feel pretty safe. It's pretty well lit. There's people around usually, and Mark says Tresca is my favorite place there. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I love Giacomo's. If you listen to last week's podcast episode, which is a great transition because we got to talk about the podcast recap. So last week, episode 56 of the Mistress Carrie podcast was Rob Caggiano from Volbeat, who's a New York guy, an Italian guy, a New York guy, a guy I've known for a really long time. But we started talking about places that he likes to go and eat in Boston, because between being in Volbeat and Anthrax and Boiler Room and all the other bands he's played with over the years, he spent a lot of time in Boston. And for him to be singing the praises of Giacomo's, which is one of my favorite restaurants down there, we were talking about, where's a good place to eat. I was telling him about Reno's in East Boston as well. But I loved this week's episode. I got so much feedback about the fucking birds. He did the interview outside, and we were on Zoom. So we were looking at each other and just kind of catching up. And I could hear the birds when we were talking, but I didn't realize how loud the birds were until I started editing the audio for the podcast episode. And I put the podcast through every effect, denoise filter, like everything I could think of to try and get some of the high-end bird chirping out of there, and I just couldn't. So if you were listening to episode 56 of the Mistress Carrie podcast with Rob Caggiano from Volbeat, there's a lot of fucking bird chirping. And I know that. I didn't realize it was going to be as loud, but it really made me laugh. Last week, I told you guys about the nickname that he was going to have, that you would hear about. I didn't want to give it away on the episode. Now we can talk about it. So Rob told me a story about when he was like 4 or 5 years old. He had a little red acoustic guitar, and he used to just go around and pretend like he was on stage. And he said that he had a stage name when he was a kid, and it was Bobby Jaguar. And I have known Rob for a lot of years, since the mid 90s. And I am never going to call him Rob Caggiano ever again to his face. It's Bobby Jaguar from now on. He needs to make Bobby Jaguar merch, t-shirts. I'm learning all these amazing names. The Karen Durkot episode with her band, Tits and Corn. Now the Bobby Jaguar stuff. Like, there's just too many hilarious terms. And for him, the laugh that he has after he says that, because it's just so genuinely funny and ridiculous, and how his dad tells everybody the story. It always makes me laugh when the artists that I talk to talk about their parents, because it shows that no matter how successful, your parents are just your parents. And so here's Rob that's been in these amazingly successful bands for decades, and his dad's still running around. When my son Rob was little, we called him Bobby Jaguar. And it never ceases to amaze me when the artists talk about their parents and then they talk about their own kids and how they're not kind of impressed with, they are impressed, but not really. To them, they're just still a regular person. And your parents are always going to still tell embarrassing stories about you, no matter how successful you become. I was dying when he slashed his dad's tires to prevent him from going out. So he was talking about how his dad, in the height of COVID, just refused to stop going out. And he's older, and he was trying to protect his dad and keep him from leaving the house. And he propped all of his dad's tires to keep him from leaving the house, which was amazing. I was busting ass mowing the lawn, just catching up on the podcast. Jesus Christ, I could totally hear the bird chirping over the loud lawnmower. I know, Heidi. I had no idea those freaking birds were as loud as they were. And then when I started going through the audio, I was like, oh my God, what the fuck kind of birds are they, Rob? Bobby Jaguar. Love the new Volbeat song, says Joe. Yeah, they are really happy. They're summertime songs. Dagen 4, that's part of the podcast episode. Trying to figure out how to say that. It was a fabulous podcast. Thank you, Heidi. Air check about the birds. Knifing the tires, no dad, no driving. Exactly. Did you ever find out what band was in the picture from last week, Eric? Not yet. Still trying to figure it out. And there's been a lot of guesses. Some people thought it might be Powerman 5000 without all the stuff. I can tell you that anytime you interviewed Powerman 5000, they had all the stuff on. So no, that wasn't them. Let's see. Gonna have to play catch up, says Betty. I didn't mind the birds. Glad you at least gave us the heads up. Yeah, exactly, Donna. Because as I was going through the interview, what I usually do is I go in and listen to the actual interview first. And if anything needs to be kind of tightened up, if somebody's level needs to get brought up, if there was a hum or some kind of cleaning up of the audio that needs to be done, I do all of that work first. And then I go back and record the intro and the outro afterwards. So after I listened to the whole interview, I was like, I have to say something about the birds in the intro, because otherwise people are going to be like, is something wrong with my car? Because if you're listening in the car, is something wrong with my phone? Like, does Carrie know that noise is there? Yes, I knew it all. They're fucking birds. There's nothing I could do with it. They had to have been big birds, Joe. I don't know. Wait, hold on. Joe says, is it Dagen fur? Is how it's pronounced. Joe, is that Dagen or Dagen? Dagen fur? And what does it mean, Joe? Can you give me a translation? Because Bobby Jaguar over here in Volbeat is the only American, and he doesn't speak the language, so he doesn't know. I want Bobby Jaguar and Tits and Corn to be live acts at the Mistress Carrie ship, full Fernandez. I don't think it's that mainstream of a band if none of us can recognize. No, Brianna, I really think they were probably a band that I maybe played one or two songs on AAF, and they probably never went anywhere after their first record. There were a lot of bands like that. I mean, you know, in music, you're always hoping to find bands that are going to be the next great rock bands, the next great generation of whatever, bands that will eventually be playing arenas and get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But in order to find those, just like when you're mining for anything, you're going to move a lot of rocks before you find a diamond. And so, you know, there are a lot of bands that are kind of roadkill on the highway of rock and roll, you know, that there are going to be bands that really tried and either just weren't that great or had one really good song. And you know, and then there's a lot of great bands that recorded a great fucking record and it was bad timing or bad management or a bad record label or the band didn't get along or there were addiction issues or people ran out of money or there was a global pandemic. I mean, there's countless reasons why bands don't take off. But Jason, is it Grinspoon? Is that who it is? It could be. I don't know. All I can do is date it based on the photograph. So because it was taken inside the Guest Street Studios, it was taken sometime 2000 or after. Because if it had been taken in 99, it would have been in the Huntington Ave studios. And before that, it would have been in the Westboro studios. So we moved into the Guest Street Studios sometime in 2000 because we were the first people to move into that Guest Street building. So, hey, Google, what's the loudest gaggle of birds, says Wendy. It was not the Deftones. I looked up some picture, it really looked like them. It's not the Deftones. There is a picture of me in the studio with the Deftones, but that wasn't it. If you wouldn't have warned us, I would have assumed that the birds were amassing to Hitchcock at my house. Nothing. Seriously, Brianna, like there was no way I wasn't going to call your attention to those fucking birds. Thank you so much for the cue card that you sent, Clarence. So far, he has 83 cards. I think Brianna has that exact amount. So Michelle is reminding us about Clarence's 100th birthday that's coming up, and we'll talk about that later on in the show. One of the things I want to do right now, though, I want to tell you guys who's going to be on the show this week because it's a different kind of artist, and I think you guys are going to think it's really interesting. So on episode 57 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, which goes live at midnight tonight, it's Danny and Waddy from the band The Immediate Family. You probably have not heard of The Immediate Family before. You probably don't even recognize the artists, but you know the songs that they are part of. And I know this because they have been a part of pretty much every fucking rock song you can think of. I'm going to read some of their bio just because there's too many things for me to try and remember, because I want you guys to understand the rock gods that are part of this band, even though you may not recognize them. Their bio says The Immediate Family, the modern iteration of a legendary studio ensemble known as The Section, is a rock and roll band composed of 4 of the most recorded, respected, and sought-after players in modern music. Danny Korchmer, who is a guitar player and a singer, Waddy Wachtel, who is a guitar player and a singer, Leland Schuyler, and Russ Kunkel make up the entire band. So the 2 guys that are on the episode are Waddy and Danny. Now, their bio says frequent collaborators both in the studio and on stage. Their work can be heard on albums from Jackson Browne, James Taylor, Linda Ronstadt, Stevie Nicks, Keith Richards, Warren Zevon, Graham Nash, Neil Young, David Crosby, and many more. Now, when it comes to Danny and Waddy, Danny's credits as a guitar player, producer, songwriter, and session musician include work with James Taylor, Don Henley, Carole King, Linda Ronstadt, Jackson Browne, and Billy Joel. As a songwriter, he has both written alone or collaborated with numerous artists like Don Henley's Dirty Laundry and All She Wants to Do Is Dance and New York Minute, as well as Jackson Browne's Somebody's Baby and Shaky Town, just to name a few. Now, Waddy has worked with the same artists as Danny, as well as the Rolling Stones, Keith Richards, Stevie Nicks, Randy Newman, Brian Ferry, and the late Warren Zevon, with whom he co-wrote and produced a number of hit songs, including Werewolves of London, which the Immediate Family has included into their set list. His production work also includes Keith Richards, Brian Ferry, George Thorogood, and The Church, and he has composed numerous scores for feature films. These guys were the go-to studio musicians in the 70s. And now they've started their own band, and they're called The Immediate Family. They have a record coming out. They're getting ready to tour, and they call themselves a cover band that plays originals because their set is full of the songs that they all recorded and wrote, which are all of these amazingly famous songs that are performed by other artists. And these guys in musical circles are so famous because of the work that they've done with such successful musicians and worked on these amazing hit songs. And I had a chance to talk to these guys, and I wanted to tell you guys the bio and stuff because I didn't want to just ask them about the artists that they worked with and like be that Saturday Night Live skit. Like, remember when you worked with Don Henley? Like, that was really cool. What I wanted to really do is dig into how these guys became the prolific musicians that they are, how their careers started out, how they ended up in LA being these session cats that worked with everybody. And to also talk about how it is that they craft the songs that they work on, whether it be the music, the melody, the lyrics. And so I wanted to get into that part of their careers. Their resume speaks for itself. The corresponding playlist for this episode is pretty awesome because it's just filled with all of these songs. And they drop names like Alice Cooper drops names. Like, they talk about Ringo. Like when I talk about Ringo Starr, I say Ringo Starr because if I just said Ringo, it sounds like I know him and I don't, but they do. So if you're a lover of rock music, this podcast I think is going to be really interesting for you. If you play an instrument, if you're a songwriter, if you're a lyricist, or if you like to write poetry or whatever it is, getting into their workflow and understanding how it is that they funnel ideas creatively through themselves and how they bounce them off of each other was really something that I wanted to talk to these guys about. And why haven't we ever heard of them? Wendy, if you Google these guys, then you're going to find out really quickly who they are. If you Google The Section, you're going to find all of this stuff. And what's crazy is that I didn't know a lot about them either until I started prepping for the interview, until I started looking into the careers that these guys have all had. These are some of the most established rock and roll musicians in this band, The Immediate Family. And they're not household names because they are the guys that got brought in. Hey, Stevie is working on a solo record and she needs a band. And we need some great guitar players that also can sing backup, or she's got some song ideas and they aren't finished. So she's going to sit down with the section and work out these ideas. People in rock and roll know who these guys are. And if they are as respected by all of the artists that I just named, now all of a sudden releasing their own music, they were like, you know what? We've played with everyone else. We've toured with everyone else. We've collaborated with everyone else. And now we wanted to do this on our own. And so I thought it was going to make a really interesting podcast episode. And I think it is. It gets into a lot more of the craftsmanship of being songwriters than it does into what was this person like or what was that person like? Because if there's one thing I've realized about being around the successful musicians that I have over the years, they're regular people at the end of the day. And when they're collaborating with other musicians, they're not like, oh my God, that's Stevie Nicks. Because I'd be the idiot that's like, what does she smell like? Because I imagine she smells like leaves in the forest in the fall or something. And like they've spent time in the studio with her. They're friends. They've toured together. They've written songs together. And so I will tell you that I asked Danny and Waddy where they met the first time, and they told me the story. And the artist that they were working with in the studio was a surprise answer to me. And I'm not going to give it away. I'll let you guys listen to it in the podcast. So, hey, William, don't worry about being late. Hey, Mickey out in Oregon. What's going on, Mick? The podcast sounds really interesting. Wendy, why do I keep calling you Wednesday? Wendy, it is interesting. And what I'm hoping that it does is makes you guys more curious about who these guys are and makes you want to start diving into, YouTube holes and starting to go through the corresponding playlist and listen to some of the other music that they've worked on and reading their bios and kind of discovering this whole era of rock and roll that they were a part of, that their kind of DNA is woven through all of it. Waddy told me a really funny story about Keith Richards in a cab. And I'm not going to give that away either, but I thought the story was really funny. And a little bit of his fandom came through, but not really. It's just that he realizes, even though he was collaborating with Keith Richards, that he was still Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones, who was a band that helped inspire him to become a musician in the first place. Your songwriter's question would be epic in this episode. Brianna, I asked it. And they had some interesting answers, for sure. She probably smells like lavender, sandalwood, and magic. Yeah. And like leather. And yeah, I know. I love her. She smells very earthy, I'm sure. And I would love to interview Stevie Nicks. When I was a kid, I wanted to grow up and be like Stevie Nicks. Like, I thought she was so beautiful. I wanted to dress like her. I loved her boots and the whole spooky vibe of her. Like, I absolutely love Stevie Nicks. She is on my short list of artists that I would love to interview. But there is a group of artists that I have yet to like meet in person to like take a picture with. Like John Bon Jovi's like number one because I just loved him so much in high school. But Stevie Nicks is right up there too. Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. I've talked to Jimmy Page, but never met him personally. I've never met the guys in Queen, which I would love to do. So there's definitely people out there, but Stevie Nicks is right up there at the top. So I can't wait for you guys to hear this episode of the podcast. Episode 57 goes live at midnight. I wanted to call you guys' attention to a little bit of a change that I made on mistresscarrie.com. One of the things that I wanted to do with the podcast was have these weekly episodes come out. But then with the sit reps that come out every weekday, now there's 6 or 7 or 8 pieces of audio coming out every week through the podcast. And so sometimes you have to really kind of dig through things to find the full length episodes. So what I did was on the front page of mistresscarrie.com, I separated out the sit reps into their own folder. So now there's a list of podcast episodes right on the front page, and it's all the numbered episodes and bonus episodes only to make it easier for you to find as we're getting more and more numbered episodes, to make it easier for you to kind of scroll through, find episodes you haven't heard before. If I reference an older episode, to make it easier rather than scrolling through all of the sit reps and trying to find the numbered episodes, especially something that came out 6 or 8 months ago. So I did redesign a little bit of the front page of mistresscarrie.com for that reason. Oh my God, can you imagine a podcast with Stevie Nicks? I mean, I literally would prep that interview for weeks, and I would have to talk myself down off a fucking ledge if I got to talk to her, which I would love to do. I mean, there are a lot of interviews that I'm working on getting right now. Some of the ones the guys with the backstage passes already know about. Some other ones I'm just hearing about this week. But Stevie Nicks, man, I'd give a portion of a digit for that. You know, like that part of your pinky. What are you doing with that? Like you just give up like that little part of your pinky. I mean, other than not having a fingernail there, like, Carrie, why are you missing the top knuckle of your pinky? Because I wanted to interview Stevie Nicks. Oh, okay. Well, that seems like a totally rational thing. Of course. No problem. My friend Sue was a huge Stevie Nicks fan. Rest in peace, Susie. We remember you. Oh, that's nice, Michael. It is amazing, that you remember the artist that your friends all loved, because you shared those memories at concerts or listening to records together or waiting in line to meet somebody or whatever. She is still beautiful, Eric. And you know what? Like, I love those memes that like you think you're having a bad day. Just remember that Fleetwood Mac was able to write and record Rumors together because they were all fighting and having sex with each other and doing cocaine and like all the other stuff. And they made that amazing record. Talk yourself down off a ledge. I so would have to, Mark. Seriously. Would you get Steven Tyler again? I would love to talk to Steven Tyler again. Those guys have been laying pretty low because there hasn't really been much going on. And, I'm a little bit nervous that Aerosmith isn't going to do any kind of large scale touring anymore based on, what Brad Whitford said, but we'll have to find out. I hung out with members of Dream Theater one day with my drum teacher at Berkeley. Yeah, Ralph. And I bet they were awesome. They're great guys. They're amazing. Let's see. I cried like a fool the whole time. Kathy, I don't know why my mom, son dance was to Landslide last weekend. Oh, God. Yeah, exactly. I would give a piece of my pinky for that. Hands down. Hands down. Get it? One less nail to paint. Shop teachers have rubbed it in for way less. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that is who's on the podcast. Coming up tonight at midnight. Speaking of the sit reps, just in case you don't know what they are, Monday through Friday, you get all your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment updates in under 5 minutes. And if you subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, you'll get the sit reps, the full length episodes, the after action reports, bonus episodes of the podcast. You'll get everything, but everything's also listed at mistresscarrie.com. If you don't subscribe to podcasts anywhere, you can just go to the website, click play, and listen to anything. Speaking of podcast outlets, this is just a small sampling of all of the places you can find the Mistress Carrie podcast, which is part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. So wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, if you don't see it up here, just search it and you'll probably see the Mistress Carrie podcast. Just make sure that that logo is what you're finding and you're going to know it's me. Podcast locations, we're holding strong at 109 countries listening to the Mistress Carrie podcast. And this week, Canada was the number 2 country once again. So I want to say what's up to all of our neighbors to the north. Thank you guys for all of your love and support on the podcast. Got some music headlines for you. Over the weekend, I know the show's name is Cocktails in the War Room, but for artists that literally have almost died because of addiction issues, these milestones need to be celebrated. Slash this weekend celebrated 15 years of sobriety. So congratulations to Slash. Nikki Sixx celebrating 20 years of sobriety. And on the 4th of July, Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne celebrated 39 years of marriage, which is insane considering Ozzy's tried to kill her on more than one occasions. And I'm sure she's wanted to kill him because of the cheating scandals on more than one occasions. Ozzy just made a very simple post about it, just saying happy anniversary, my love. Sharon's post wishing Ozzy a happy anniversary was more long-winded and was really sweet, acknowledging that it hasn't been perfect, but also acknowledging that they've done the work and they've worked through things and that she loves him and that he is her soulmate. And it was just really sweet. So Wendy, I haven't gotten there yet. So I wanted to commemorate those in the music headlines. Speaking of Nikki Sixx, his new book is coming out on October 19th called The First 21. It is the first 21 years of his life as an Idaho farm boy that went out to LA and all of the years leading up to him joining and creating Motley Crue. Papa Roach went online today. When I interviewed Jacoby Shaddix for the podcast, he said that they were working on a release schedule for the new record and the new music. And he thought maybe by the end of this year, they'd release a new song with the new album coming out in 2022. Papa Roach took to social media today saying that if they get up to 4 million Spotify subscribers, they're going to release their new song, the first song off of their upcoming record. I don't know how many Spotify subscribers they have, but they got to be close. So I thought that was an interesting announcement from those guys. There's a typo here. Sorry, you guys know. Every once in a while on the show, there's a typo because I type fast. So Papa Roach is teasing the first song from their new record. They didn't say the name of it or anything. Ronnie James Dio's birthday celebration is coming up. It's a live stream event coming up on the 10th. So I wanted to make sure that I called your attention to that. Details, the links are all in the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. And also his autobiography, Rainbow in the Dark, is coming out on the 27th, that Mick Wall, the famous rock journalist, helped Wendy Dio finish. Dio started the book, and then, of course, he passed away from cancer, and so they were able to complete the book for him. As far as events go, there's definitely some stuff coming up. The 100 FM The Pike DJ welcome party is happening at Rascals this Saturday night. Mike Shue, Chuck Perks, and I are all giving away tickets this week to the party. But if you want to guarantee that you're going to get in, go to pikefm.com or just go to the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com and the Eventbrite link to get tickets. I think the tickets are like $10. Like, it's not that much money. I think it's more to like help pay the band and like whatever, but it's 21 plus and it's this Saturday night, and I cannot wait to see everybody. It'll be the first time me, Mike Shue, and Chuck Parks have all been in the same room at the same time. And I'm really psyched for that. And there's going to be, an 80s tribute band and prizes, and it's just going to be a great night out. So if you're looking for something to do on Saturday night, I don't know how many tickets are left. I can't imagine there's too many left. So get them if you haven't gotten them already. And if you guys are going to go, I will definitely see you there. I am going to be at Rockin' Pod, the podcast convention in Nashville, the first week in August. And I've lined up some interviews. I don't want to talk about who they are yet, but I lined up some pretty awesome interviews that I'm excited about. And it's open to the public. So if you're around the Nashville area, you can go to Rockin' Pod. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of rock and music-based podcasts that are going to be represented. There's going to be a lot of artists there. There's going to be comedy shows and just a bunch of other stuff going on. So I can't wait to go. I love Nashville. Really excited. Obviously, I'll be bringing back a ton of pictures and a bunch of other stuff. So I will be there, and details on that are up on the event calendar at mistresscarrie.com. And then coming up on September 19th, leaving out of Boston Harley and ending at Anthony's of Malden, is the Boston Wounded Vet Run. And I'm going to have an event table at the finish of the Boston Wounded Vet Run as well. So there's a bunch of events. I am filling the event calendar more and more all the time, not just with concerts, but with events, charity events. Everybody drink. There's a typo. You know what, Mark? I like that. When there's typos and you guys catch them, we drink. I like that a lot. So there's a lot more stuff that's getting put up on the event calendar, and I'm always trying to fill the calendar with even more stuff to do now that we can all leave the house. Mail call this week. I did not have a chance to check the mail. I'm really sorry. It's been really busy and kind of crazy, and I didn't have a chance to get to the mail. But I thought, for everybody that has a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, I put up a photo earlier of something that my husband brought back from the Middle East, and I wanted to show you guys this that he gave me. And it's called a Turkish puzzle box. So it's a box to keep things in, but you can't open it because it's a puzzle box. And I wanted to show you guys how it works because it's really cool. So it's all done with craftsmanship. It's all done with, wood and whatever. So I'm going to try and show you. So if you really look close, you'll see seams in the wood. And if you push, that piece of wood like that, you pull this stick out. And if you look in there, See the key? There's a key. Then you push the box forward and this little thing pops down and you see the keyhole. And it unlocks the box. I thought it was really cool. I had never heard it before. You can Google like puzzle boxes, and I just thought it was really cool. And the craftsmanship on it, it's all hand carved. I'll put this up here so that you guys can check it out a little closer. I thought it was beautiful, and it was something I had never seen before. And I thought you guys would think it was really cool. And then you just put the key back in there and slide the little wooden thing back in. And there you go. Can't open it again. And I love to travel, and so I love to collect kind of things like this, like masks and just different crafts from wherever it is that I go, because I just think they're beautiful. And so I just thought it was really cool that he brought this home for me. So Wendy says, that's amazing. Christine says, that's beautiful. Give it to Shu to hide the weed. Yeah, but then he'd get high. He wouldn't be able to remember how to open it. Alexis says, that's beautiful. Jared says, that's neat. Love puzzle boxes. The craftsmanship that goes into them is nothing short of wondrous. Yeah, it's really cool. Yes, we're keeping it classy here, says Michael. Not good OPSEC there, Mrs. Marine. What do you mean, that I can't show how it works? The craftsmanship is so intricate. It's gorgeous, and what a unique gift. Yeah, I thought it was really cool, so I wanted to show it to you guys. Very cool. All right, let's see. That's awesome. Very lucky. You got a good guy, Patrick. I totally agree with you. Can we watch you trying to open that box after a few of Fernandez's sangrias, especially the limoncello night or like the moonshine sangria night? That's so cool. I love how different it is. Exactly. Never hide anything in it now. Oh, Brianna, you think I'm going to hide anything in that thing? Come on now. But I thought it was really cool, so I wanted to show it to you guys. All right. What else can I tell you guys about? Oh, the new mugs are in. If you have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, you have a coupon code that's going to give you discounted black mugs through the end of July. I also wanted to tip you guys off that we're going to do a Christmas in July special. And I'm going to put the Christmas ornaments on sale at some point in July. So keep your eyes out for that. I'll tweet, Facebook, a coupon code so that you can get discounted Christmas merchandise in the middle of July, because why wouldn't we do that? Let's see. The puzzle boxes can be very ornate and complex, all handmade for pennies for the locals. Yeah, I just thought it was really cool. I loved it. Service day number 3 anytime soon. Michael, don't have any word yet. Xmas in July. Exactly, Michael. Love the color changing mugs. Any possibility for that? I am looking into everything. And part of it is, can it be cost effective? Because I don't want anything to be super expensive. So it's just a matter of, can I get them produced? Can I get them made for not that much money? And are they going to be good quality? Because I don't want them to suck. So you can hide the dictionary in there. Exactly. So anyway, be looking for a coupon code on my social media pages and everything for the Christmas in July special. If you are celebrating your birthday today, cheers to you. I thought it would be extra special because it's 50 Cent's birthday. So go shorty. It's your birthday. Yeah. I know, this is all the rhythm I got, and I'm definitely not rapping. So happy birthday to 50 Cent, and also Nick Chester from Jet is also celebrating a birthday today. Now, we got to talk about Clarence Thornton. So he's got 83 cards so far. He got my card. I got word that he got mine. Clarence Thornton is a World War II veteran, and he is turning 100 in a couple of days. And we are trying to fill his, oh, Jesus. We're trying to fill his mailbox with birthday cards. So if you last minute get it in there, even if it's a couple days late, I don't care. But if you want to help wish Clarence Thornton a happy 100th birthday, please send a birthday card. This is your reminder. The address is right there. It's also as a blog post up at mistresscarrie.com in case you forget it. But definitely get the birthday cards out because his 100th birthday is coming up in a couple days. So happy birthday, Clarence, from all of us here in the War Room. It's just an amazing thing to be a veteran of World War II, and just to live to 100 years old for anyone is amazing. But, it just goes to show you, how quickly those World War II veterans are aging. And, which is why I love Andy Biggio's book, The Rifle, so much. I'm about halfway through the book. It's fantastic. I have loved every chapter. And he's having a book signing, actually, coming up in August. So he's going to have a bunch of World War II veterans there to sign the book. So I'm going to get that up on the event calendar tonight, actually. So the details will all be up there. Happy birthday to everybody who's celebrating, says Kim. Absolutely. Happy birthday. What's up, Fernandez? Ciao. Let's see. My niece's sister-in-law, we made cards on Sunday and mailed them today. That is awesome, Donna. Yeah, Aileen, please send a card. Everybody send a card to Clarence. And also, I put it up there just because he was just such a legend. Louis Armstrong died on this date in 1971. And I didn't even realize that he died before I was even born. For some reason, I didn't realize that he's been gone that long. Alexis says I mailed one last week. Happy unbirthday to everybody, Keith, especially your unbirthday. So happy birthday to everybody. What's up to everybody that has a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass on Patreon? I'm going to try and schedule the live stream for this weekend, guys. But I will let you know. I'm kind of waiting to find out and make sure that I'm going to be able to get back in time to do it. But if you go on to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie, you can get a backstage pass. I'm always putting pictures up there, telling little stories, kind of filling everybody in on what's going on. You also get discount codes on, oh wait, no, this is wrong. You get discount codes on merchandise. Like I said, there's a discount code for the black coffee mugs until the end of July right now. You can submit questions for podcast interviews ahead of time. So there's definitely a lot going on. And then obviously, as the world continues to open up, I have a lot of plans about scheduling some either private events or having private sections at events and stuff like that. But it's just all up to how the world is going to open up with everything. So if you go to mistresscarrie.com, there's a Patreon link, or you can just go straight to Patreon/Mistress Carrie, and you can check out the Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass. You can also find me on social, here, there, everywhere. And one of the things that's not on there is Wednesday's Instagram, but she's linked on mine. On Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Cameo, YouTube, and Patreon, like I told you. So there you go, guys. So at midnight tonight, episode 57 of the Mistress Carrie podcast features Danny and Waddy from the Immediate Family, otherwise known as previously as The Section. And I encourage you, if you are true students of rock and roll, to go and do some Googling on these guys. I think you're going to be kind of amazed at everything that's going on. Brianna says, mine arrived today, chapter 5 on Audible now. You're going to love it. You are absolutely going to love it. The book is so good. It's called The Rifle. How was the crayon beer? So there is a brew house up in Maine that is run by veterans, and they have a beer called Crayon Crusher because one of the guys is a Marine. And my friend Wendy knew that my husband was coming home, and she swung by because she spends a lot of time up in Maine, and she brought some of that beer back, and he liked it, actually. So It's called Crayon Crusher. I think the brewery is up in Wells. I can't remember the name of the brewery off the top of my head, but the beer is called Crayon Crusher, and he really liked it. And it's like the ABV on it is pretty high. Comes in a 4-pack. So good night, Mark. So yeah, he loved the crayon beer. So there you go. And was like, oh, I get it. I'm a Marine. I eat crayons. But yeah, it was pretty funny. So, all right, guys, it's time to go. I got to make sure that the podcast episode goes live at midnight. I really hope I get to see a lot of you guys at the DJ welcome party coming up on Saturday night at Rascals. There's more details on it at pikefm.com. And like I said, Mike Shute, Chuck Perks, and I are all giving away tickets on 100 FM The Pike all week long. So I'm really looking forward to getting to see all the people from the Pike in one room, but obviously getting to see people that listen to the station as well and hanging out with everybody. So thank you guys for hanging out with me every Tuesday night. I am going to make some additions to the dictionary as well. And I want to thank the sponsors of this week's episode, Digital Federal Credit Union and Jumptown Skydiving, for sponsoring episode 57 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Good night.